Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming. What we're going to do this afternoon is just go through a little bit about what the project's all about, how it was formed, what we've done and what we're trying to do. This was our aim, and it doesn't cover everything, but it's a very good start, to add another dimension to the lives of people who wish to engage in Unitarian services of worship and celebration. It's another dimension. It's not meant to be replacing anything. And there's all sorts of reasons why we believe that it's worth putting time, energy and other people's money into this project to get it going. These are the objectives, and I think this adds a bit more meat onto it, to make Unitarian-related audiovisual material available online. We want to move to the situation which is where we could do live broadcasts. We're away from that at the moment, but that's one of our aims. And there's the thing there about using skills in the community. What we're not doing is going out to a company and saying, here's £5,000, film a service or a series of those. What we're doing is we're learning the skills in-house, and that's spreading across, so that the fact that they're still there. And after that £5,000 has gone, you've got nothing but some footage. We're gaining experience, which will continue. I was very involved in the scouting movement, and that was their philosophy, that you did things in-house and you built people up from within rather than just pay money for services. Unicoms is the old UCCN. It's very much links with there and trying to use that as a recruiting sergeant. Importantly, to seek and act on feedback. We often are very poor at criticising our own work. Everybody is on anything. And it's when other people say, you didn't mention that it was a Unitarian service. You go, oh my goodness, of course not. Oh, how stupid, because we were so close to the work. And to make connections with others with similar aims, primarily, that at the moment is the NUF. It's a wonderful group to be part of. Everybody is just so positive. We have meetings where we disagree, but we can agree to disagree. And this is Martin, who's been very, very helpful in helping us set up. So again, there's another queue. No, it's all right. People are arriving, and I'm introducing them as part of it, etc. But this project would not have happened if Martin hadn't been involved, and we really do thank you for that. And we are still trying to recruit new members. In fact, we have a new member who is just arriving through the door as we actually speak. Is this Joe James? Sorry? Oh, it's all pre-planned. Strapline this session, it's been a good year for us, and it really has. This time last year, we were still finding our feet over a lot of bits and pieces, and we've really managed to consolidate in the last year. We still are on an upward trend. We're not completely there yet, but really it wasn't a flash in the pan. It wasn't just some idiot's idea and then it all fallen apart. It really has moved forward an awful lot within the last 12 months. Firstly, we have better equipment. If you want to produce a reasonably good quality film, you cannot do it with rubbish equipment. It shows. It's not an excuse. It's not a bad workman blames their tools. It's just you can't do it because it looks amateurish and it looks naff. We now have access to 3 high-quality cameras, and we have much better audio equipment. Throwing a camera at somebody and getting some reasonably good imagery is actually reasonably easy. You can do it from the back of the church with a zoom lens. It's fine. There is no such thing really as a Zoom microphone. And getting audio, good clean audio, has been a real problem. And we now have loads and loads of different types of microphones. And in fact, the last service that was recorded in Kendal is, I believe, the first time we have really cracked it, where you don't look at it and thinking they're mumbling or there's a horrible echo or something, because as soon as there's anything to distract you, you're not concentrating on what you're meant to be concentrating on. It's the first time we've really got it right. Somebody bringing God into the equation said, when God did light, he was on the ball or she was on the ball, but by the time they got round to sound, they were fed up, and then did an appalling design job on it. You really have to have microphones within a foot to actually get anything that's any good at all. And that has been a really big challenge. We now have a video mixer, which I haven't brought with us now, and this is really preparing for live broadcast, because if we were going to do a live broadcast, and by live broadcast, I actually mean that we're filming and then we're streaming it onto the internet, and so you go onto a web page and just watch what's actually happening in real time. Now, the possibilities that opens up for this movement, I think, is fantastic. These conferences, other conferences, doing training sessions, the possibilities are the limit of your imagination. We're not there yet, but that's what we're moving towards, and that's what other people are moving towards. What we have also gained is a second auto cue. Now, if you've all got reasonably good necks, you can turn around and look at Kevin at the back there, and you'll see what's actually mounted on the front of his camera, which we're actually filming at the moment, is a bit of a strange bit of glass at an angle, and that's because we can put an iPad in the bottom of it and actually have a script coming up on that, and because they are reading it, they can concentrate on their delivery as opposed to their words. We've also bought our pull-up banner, which we can take to places where we're actually recording to let people know what we're doing, and it looks a little bit more professional, and I'm sure we'll end up with a second one of those as well. It's telling people that if they have a problem being filmed, to let people know, etc. Because we do realise that it's not always appropriate to film, and sometimes we are filming worship, and there's all sorts of problems and things that we have to worry about on that front. We've made a lot of changes to the website, and it's now very, very linked to YouTube. I could say to people, go to YouTube and look at them, but YouTube's very complicated to search, etc. So what we've actually got now is a clean website, which is where a film will start playing, and it will tell you down the right-hand side which film you're watching, and if you don't want to watch that one, you just click on another one, it'll actually show that film. So it's quite a simple interface for people that actually want to go in and see the films that we've actually created. You can go through YouTube, but it's a second one. This is what our primary way of working is. Create a film, put it onto YouTube. It's free download, it's clean, it's tidy, it links in, people can search on YouTube, they're used to YouTube, and we're not trying to reinvent a wheel, we're utilising what's actually there already. In the last year, we have gained a huge amount of experience. None of us were involved in filmmaking professionally, and we are on this enormous learning curve. We have learned through our mistakes. Kevin will never again film with the microphone switched off, so when you actually come to edit, you just got people's mouths going up and down, etc. Sorry to pick you out on that one, but there are so many switches, so many buttons, and you only have to get one of them wrong, and it triples the editing time. One of the reasons we hope we're better is because we just have more time with the equipment. Like with this microphone here, this is what they call a rifle mic, which means the fact that the sound, it's best in a sort of tunnel like this, almost like a zoom lens, but not quite as good. And we found that using these, what happens is that when we're in a church, you have huge echo problems, and because this is actually targeted at the person, it cuts out that echo. But when we're outside, what was happening is the wind was going across. So we have here a sock which Margaret has made, and that goes on here, you see. And that actually, there are all sorts of nicknames for it, which we won't actually go in for, one can imagine. We've got newsletters so we're trying to keep in touch with the people that are interested in having services film made. There is only 3 teams. Some people we can do quite easily, some people we can't. It might be that you're on the radar and we're thinking we can do that in 18 months. 2 of the crews have now bought caravans so they can go around the country to film. This is the dedication of your team. These newsletters are there to keep people in touch, etc. But do ask us. We won't necessarily be able to say yes straight away or yes at all, but we are trying, and we're doing what we can within the resources that we've got. We have been filming for 18 months or so. We've gone all over the country. Not a single person has put in a single penny for transportation, ever. And so that just shows you the dedication that we've got from the people that are actually involved. The money that we've been given, we have spent on kit because we've needed to spend it on kit. So what's next? We want to do several types of film. The meditational films, which are Joan and John are really spearheading, and that obviously links with the NUF. I must just say, we're all working together. Nobody has any rights about, you can only use this for that, but not for that. Everything's just thrown into a heap, and if anybody needs any of the material that we have generated for anything, they're welcome to it. Wonderful to work with such a positive group of people that are really happy with that. But Joan and John have been creating some meditations, and we want to move those forward. The latest ones, I think, have been much better than the earlier ones, and I'm sure the ones they produce will be better than that. We want to be able to do services. One of the points of this is it's such a huge thing for any new person to open that church door and walk through on a Sunday morning, and they don't know what they're going to get, and they don't know if they're going to sit there and 2 minutes later are going to go, oh my goodness, this was a mistake, how do I get out? Because that's obviously their fear. And by seeing what we do on a film, it's breaking down that barrier. It's meaning that they can see what goes on. They can see whether they like the philosophy. They can see whether they don't. Everybody uses the internet for research now, and if we're not part of that, they won't even consider coming to us. So actually having bits on there that explain what we do, explain what our worship's about. I'm sure some of them will look there and say, oh, I didn't realise they sung hymns. I didn't realise they were so old. Whatever it is. No, if we were PR people, we'd say, only want younger people, etc. We're not there to deceive people, and the reality is that congregations are what they are. And we're not trying to massage it. We're trying to show it in the best possible way that we can. But we're trying to break down that barrier and showing some service, even if it's not from that church, but a typical Unitarian service is actually sort of, I think, helping with that. If you're wanting to get involved, there is on our website and the national website a guide to any congregation that's actually thinking of having us, and it actually goes through sort of what's involved, etc., etc. So really, more films to promote the movement, what we're trying to do. Short films are really, really useful. The average people watch films on YouTube is 3-4 minutes. Most months we have about 1,500 films watched, and the number of minutes viewed is usually about 4,000. So that means people are on average watching a film for 3.5 minutes. Now if it's a service and you're a part of the NUF and you haven't been to a service for a while, you will sit there for half an hour and you will watch it. But the sort of major market for people that are more external is 3-4 minute clips on a particular subject. But one of the things we're trying to do is to go to a chapel and say to people, why we did it with Danny, why do you come to this church? And there's some incredibly articulate people out there, and they say, I come because blah, blah, blah. And we create the film, put it on YouTube, link it to their website. And so when people go to that website, they can click, and we hope that what the people are saying will resonate with those people. As a child, I was dragged to this particular church, and I never really believed what was actually going on, and I was very disillusioned with it. And then I found the Unitarian movement, and it was huge freedom, and I love coming here because I'm not being told what to do, and I want to thought, etc., etc. And we're hoping that people go, oh wow, that's how I feel. Maybe I'll take the next step and start reading up about it. That's what it's about. Equipment-wise, my dream is not to have one of these cameras down in the south where I am, but to have, not necessarily this model, but to have 3 or 4, to have them remotely controlled, because if we're doing a worship service, what you don't want is somebody here at the front actually looking at everybody praying. But if you've got a camera that's low, that can be zoomed and tilted and actually panned remotely, then it means one person, and it means that there's only one person to transport to the venue, can actually control everything in one go. So actually having more cameras to make it more interesting and we can flick between them and that are remotely controlled is the way that we actually want to go. We have 3 teams, so we're talking about a dozen cameras. They don't have to be these grade because we're not having to worry about sound so much. These are 2,500 each. But you're still talking about 500-600, and the remote control unit's probably another £500-600 as well. We've got to make interesting films. If the film isn't interesting, then we've just failed, and people will just switch off. So, just a thank you to a number of people. We have had a lot of donations from individuals. We've had them from districts and congregations, and if you think that your district or congregation has too much money, then it will be lovely if you push some in our direction. And we have a list of those people who have donated on the website, and I'm not going to embarrass them by mentioning people here. Those are the people that are actually involved. As I said, it really is a wonderful team. We can disagree, as I've said already. We do all our meetings remotely through Skype. I couldn't tell you if our treasurer is here, because I have never seen him. I have no idea what he looks like. And I presume that he exists, because if I put in a claim for some money for something I bought, then I get the money. But I have no physical evidence that he exists at all. I think you know of his existence, don't you? Yes. He's around, is he? He's not around. Is he around this week? Okay. You know. And in fact, Joan and John were talking to this person for like half an hour, and then they were introduced. They go, "Oh my goodness, you're our treasurer," you know, etc. And I think it just shows that people are going, "Oh, you've got to meet people. You've got to have physical meetings to have good relations." I'm sorry, you don't. It can work, and of course, it means we don't spend our money on travel and trains fare.